Have you ever stopped to think about why some people seem to absorb knowledge with ease while others face difficulties even in mastering just one skill? There is a secret behind genius, and most importantly, you can become one of those people. Da Vinci, Benjamin Franklin, Marie Curie. What do these names have in common? They were not limited to one area. They mastered many, creating breakthroughs that transformed the world. They were polymaths. But today, there is still space for such versatile minds in a society that labels us from an early age. From early on, they ask questions like, what do you want to be when you grow up? As if we had to choose just one path, one fixed destiny. But what if the answer isn't so simple? We live in the information age, where any knowledge is just a click away. It has never been easier to become a polymath, but at the same time, it has never been so hard to maintain the focus and discipline required to truly master any skill. The truth is that learning is not an innate gift, but a system. If you know how to use it to your advantage, you can become an expert in any field. In today's video, we are going to explore what it really takes to become a modern polymath. We'll talk about mindset, learning strategies, how to integrate different areas of knowledge, and how technology can be a great ally in this process. If you've ever felt the frustration of wanting to learn something and quitting halfway, this video could change your perspective forever. Mastering anything in life does not start with the perfect technique or method, but with the right mindset. The way you see learning is what will define you as a master or cause you to abandon the path. If you think intelligence and talent are fixed, that some people are just born with skills while others are not, then you're already at a disadvantage. Polymaths are not geniuses by nature, but individuals who adopted a growth mindset and understood that skills are not granted, but built. This brings us to one of the most important principles of the polymath mindset: insatiable curiosity. The great minds in history didn't wait to be told what to learn. They explored, questioned, and followed their instincts to unveil the mysteries of the world. Leonardo da Vinci, for example, was fascinated by understanding how things worked. His notebooks were filled with notes on anatomy, engineering, art, and astronomy. For him, there were no barriers between disciplines, only possibilities. But curiosity alone is not enough to truly learn something. You need to develop an essential concept: intellectual humility. This means recognizing that you don't know everything, that there's always more to learn, and that feeling ignorant is not a failure, but an invitation to grow. This leads us to a well-known psychological phenomenon: the Dunning-Kruger effect. The less a person knows, the more they tend to overestimate their own knowledge. True masters, however, understand the vastness of knowledge and therefore never stop learning. Another essential point is understanding that failure is not the opposite of success, but a fundamental part of the journey. If you want to master something, you must accept that making mistakes is part of the process. Thomas Edison, for example, tried countless materials before perfecting the incandescent light bulb. He wasn't the first to invent it, but his work made it commercially viable. When asked about his many failures along the way, he said something like, "I didn't fail. I just discovered many ways that don't work." That is the polymath mindset. Each mistake is a step forward, not a setback. Besides the mind, there's an even more basic factor that can define your success or failure when learning: your body and your routine. It seems obvious, but many people ignore it. If you sleep poorly, eat poorly, and live distracted, how do you expect your brain to function at its full capacity? Learning requires mental energy and concentration, which come from simple habits like good nutrition, quality sleep, and physical exercise. The Roman philosopher Juvenal already said, "Mens sana in corpore sano." A healthy mind can only exist in a healthy body. It makes no sense to seek knowledge if your physiological foundation is weakened. Moreover, there is a limiting belief that prevents many from becoming polymaths: "I don't have time." What differentiates a polymath from those who stay in the ordinary is the priority they give to learning. The secret is not in finding free time, but in integrating learning into your routine. Even with a full day, you can learn by listening to podcasts on your way to work, reading for 10 minutes before bed, or replacing social media with something useful in your life. Time exists. You just need to use it wisely. Having the mindset of a polymath is seeing learning as a continuous process where making mistakes is part of the journey. The only difference between a polymath and others lies in discipline and dedication. Now that you understand the mindset required to master any area, we need to talk about the system that separates quick and efficient learners from those who spend years trying without success. The key lies in strategy and consistency. It's not about talent or a gift, but how you structure your learning and, above all, how you apply that knowledge. First, abandon the idea that learning is just about absorbing information. Knowing is not the same as understanding, and understanding is not the same as applying. Most people make the mistake of staying on the surface, consuming content without truly absorbing or using it. You can watch 100 videos about guitar, but if you don't practice, you'll never progress. This brings us to the first essential principle of an effective learning system: active learning. Instead of consuming information, turn that information into action. If you're learning a new language, it's not enough just to watch the lessons. It's essential to practice, write, speak, make mistakes, and correct yourself. The same goes for programming. You need to code and test. The key is practical immersion. That's the difference between someone who reads about swimming and someone who actually dives in. Another common mistake is relying only on memory. Our brains forget most of what we learn in a few days. The forgetting curve, studied by psychologist Hermann Ebbinghaus, reveals that without review, we lose around 70% of the information in 24 hours. How can we avoid this? By using one of the most effective techniques, spaced repetition. Instead of reviewing everything at once, distribute the reviews over time. This strengthens retention and turns knowledge into something lasting. Another extremely powerful method is active recall. Instead of rereading the same material repeatedly, try to recall the information without looking at it. Ask yourself questions, write summaries from memory, explain the content to someone else. The act of retrieving information from the brain strengthens memory and improves understanding. But even with these techniques, there is one factor that can compromise any learning: lack of consistency. This brings us to a simple yet transformative principle: the 1% rule. Improve 1% every day. Instead of trying to learn everything at once and overwhelming yourself, focus on small daily improvements. Over time, they produce extraordinary progress. Think about this. If you improve 1% every day for a year, you'll be 37 times better than when you started. And how do you guarantee this consistency? The answer lies in systems, not goals. Many people fail because they define vague objectives like, "I want to learn to play the piano," but don't create a real method to achieve it. A system would be something like, "I'll practice 30 minutes every morning before work." Systems work because they eliminate the dependency on motivation. You just do it, making it part of your routine. A crucial element is time management. The excuse of lack of time usually reflects a misalignment in priorities. If you want to learn something, you must cut distractions and plan your day. Time blocking is an effective technique. Set fixed schedules to study and treat them like non-negotiable commitments. Methods like the Pomodoro technique, which consists of 25-minute focus cycles followed by short breaks, maximize productivity and retention. But even with the best system, there's a villain that threatens it all: procrastination. And why do we procrastinate? Because starting seems difficult. The solution is simple: start small. If an hour feels like too much, study for 5 minutes. If a chapter intimidates you, read just one page. Once you start, your brain gets into rhythm and everything flows. With a system based on active learning, spaced repetition, and consistency, mastering any skill stops being a matter of luck and becomes simply a matter of time. But a deeper question arises: how do you turn knowledge into something truly impactful? The answer lies in the ability to connect different kinds of knowledge. The true polymath does not just accumulate information, they combine it to innovate. Great minds in history followed this principle. Da Vinci combined art, anatomy, engineering, and philosophy. Benjamin Franklin was a scientist, writer, and diplomat, but revolutionized science by merging chemistry and physics. His difference wasn't just in learning, but in seeing invisible connections between different fields. However, society conditions us to linear thinking. From a young age, we are pressured to choose one specialization and follow it rigidly. This fragments our view of the world. Innovation arises when we integrate knowledge and work interdisciplinarily. How do we develop this ability? The first step is to expand horizons. The common mistake is focusing only on one field and ignoring others. If you work in technology, study philosophy. If you're an artist, explore neuroscience. Everything is interconnected. You just have to see the patterns. This brings us to a key concept: associative thinking. It's the ability to connect seemingly unrelated ideas to create something new. Steve Jobs said that creativity is simply connecting the dots. He revolutionized Apple's computer design because he studied calligraphy in college. That knowledge, which seemed irrelevant, became the foundation of modern digital typography. However, absorbing random information is not enough to generate connections. You need a method to process and organize what you learn. A very powerful approach is Zettelkasten, a note-taking system that links ideas and reveals hidden patterns. Instead of accumulating loose data, you create a network of structured knowledge. Another essential element for enhancing insights is the use of metaphors and analogies. The great thinkers of humanity used metaphors to make complex ideas more understandable because they reveal unexpected connections. Einstein, for example, used the image of a free-falling elevator to illustrate the theory of relativity. Great writers build entire universes based on analogies from the real world. If you want to be a polymath, get used to seeing parallels between different areas of knowledge. Furthermore, one of the most effective ways to develop this ability is to learn several disciplines simultaneously. Instead of studying one isolated topic, mix different fields. For example, if you learn programming, combine it with design. If you study history, add psychology. This forces the brain to make unusual connections and generates innovative ideas. However, the true accelerator of this process is consciously applying multiple bodies of knowledge to solve problems. Many polymaths excelled by transferring solutions from one domain to another. Tesla, for example, combined electrical engineering with principles of magnetism and mechanics to create inventions that seem like science fiction. Richard Feynman, one of the great physicists of the 20th century, used music and art to teach quantum physics. This brings us to a crucial point. To be a true polymath, it's not enough to consume knowledge. You need to produce something new with it. Whether it's writing, programming, drawing, composing, or building, learning only becomes powerful when it transforms into creation. In the end, the art of connecting ideas is what distinguishes those who merely accumulate information from those who truly impact the world. There has never been a better time to be a polymath. In the past, learning a new skill required finding a teacher, traveling to a library, or spending years trying through trial and error. Today, everything is just a few clicks away. But here's the paradox: if we have unlimited access to knowledge, why do so many people still feel like they're not really learning anything? The answer lies in the use of technology. The internet is not just a tool for entertainment, it's the largest living encyclopedia in history. However, the difference between those who master multiple skills and those who merely consume content lies in how they use this tool. Knowledge has never been so accessible, but it only transforms lives for those who act on it. There's a powerful strategy that few explore: gamification of learning. Instead of getting lost in distractions, you can use it to speed up the learning process. But here's one of the biggest challenges with technology: it can be your best ally or your worst enemy. How many times have you picked up your phone to search for something important, and before you know it, you've spent minutes or even hours scrolling through social media? The problem isn't the lack of time, but the excess of distractions designed to grab your attention. True mastery of technology happens when you control it, rather than being controlled by it. The key is to create a strategic digital environment. This includes using filters to block social media while studying, turning off unnecessary notifications, and setting fixed schedules for learning. A true polymath doesn't just use technology. They know how to filter what really matters. Another effective strategy is to use technology to record and share what you learn. Create a blog, a YouTube channel, or post summaries on social media. This forces your brain to process the knowledge more deeply. Feynman's technique teaches that if you can't explain something simply and clearly, then you haven't fully understood it yet. And the best way to prove this is by teaching what you've learned. But in the end, technology is just a tool. It can enhance your ability to learn, but it doesn't do the work for you. What truly separates a polymath from an ordinary person is not access to information, but the discipline to apply it. Now that you have the right mindset, an efficient system, the ability to connect ideas and technology on your side, there's just one more step. Act. Because in the end, what defines a polymath is not how much they know, but what they do with that knowledge. The big illusion about learning is thinking it only belongs to a few lucky geniuses. The truth is, anyone can master any skill as long as they follow the right method. But knowledge without action is just potential wasted. You are not a passive spectator in the story of your life. You are the author. So stop watching and start building your own journey. This is the polymath mindset. But knowledge without action is just potential wasted. You are not a passive spectator in the story of your life. You are the author. So stop watching and start building your own journey. This is the polymath mindset. And here's the most important part. You don't need to wait to become an expert to start creating. In fact, creating is what makes you an expert. Every project, every attempt, every error is a class. The mistake of many is waiting until they feel ready, but readiness never comes. You grow by doing. Start now. What do you want to learn? What have you always wanted to master, but postponed for lack of time, fear, or insecurity? Take the first step today, however small. The path of the polymath is built one action at a time. And don't forget, the journey is not solitary. Surround yourself with people who also seek knowledge, who challenge you, who inspire you to go further. Find communities, mentors, and share your progress. The exchange of knowledge multiplies learning. To finish, remember this. Mastering any skill is not a privilege. It's a decision, a daily choice to grow, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. Your mind is the most powerful tool you have. And when you learn to use it with purpose, there are no limits. Be a polymath, not because it's trendy, but because the world needs people who think differently, who create bridges between areas, who innovate, who inspire. The future belongs to those who are not afraid to learn everything they can. And if you got here, it's because something inside you knows it's possible. So don't stop. Go deep, grow, create, become. Because the world doesn't change with information, it changes with action.
Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, leave a like and a subscription. If you could keep listening to the video until now, congratulations. You are a warrior who have the capacity of bringing attention for a long time. Leave a comment saying this, "I'm brave." Then you will let people know that you have the brave to improve your life quality, and you'll try to be better each day. Now bye until the next video. A big hug from the being of knowledge.